Two moms navigating life and rewriting the motherhood blueprint.
We're here to give you our real and unfiltered opinions on life's most complex topics.
All truth, no sugarcoating. On Muvas.
I'm just letting our intro play. I be forgetting how kind of catchy that song is until I actually listen to it. So I was just trying to listen to it today.
It's definitely my favorite. I love when the beat drop.
Right. Because it's like, is they ready? Is the show about to happen? Like, what's really about to go on?
Yes.
All right, look, I got to pick it up because I just took a nap. Guys, I really have to stop taking a nap before we record. So sis, how was your week? Let's just jump in. Get me going. Get me popping. What's up? How was your week? What was going on?
My week has been good. Started, I'm officially in my new job over at Joint Base Andrews. Everything is great there. Nice little office space. 1 week in the office, 2 weeks telework. So that is amazing because I get to spend so much quality time at home with the babies, and they need it, especially right now with the virtual school. Your nephew is about to be on punishment for the rest of the school year if he keeps on lying to me about doing homework assignments because, honey, the dog didn't eat your homework. You didn't leave it on the school bus. It's virtual. Okay?
I don't think he was lying about completing his schoolwork. I think you might be overreacting.
Listen, he got off of punishment on his birthday because he emailed his teacher pretty much begging her to set things right because he wasn't doing his work, and let him off of punishment. The next day, found out he didn't turn something in and was about to get a 0 for it. So he went right back on punishment. So
I mean, to his defense, it is kind of hard right now to virtually learn. And I mean, like, they got to keep up, and it's a lot. So give my man some grace. Since you always want to give people grace, give my man some grace.
I'm a gracefully keep his behind on punishment. But I love that vote of confidence, Auntie A. How was your week?
If he get on punishment, I'm finna take him off, so it don't even matter. But anyways, my week was good, y'all. I had a migraine today, though, so that's why I took another nap before we started recording. But other than that, it's good. I officially bought my books for my first semester of grad school. Y'all say a prayer for me, dog, because I'm trying to tell y'all, I did school in like 10 years. When did I graduate? 7 years. 7 years ago, I graduated undergrad. So we're going to see about this grad school thing. I didn't try it 3 times. This was my 3rd time trying it. So hopefully 3rd time's a charm out this bitch, because I don't know.
Nah, you got it. This is it. This is it. I promise you. You got this.
You think this is it?
And this is the one. You got new motivation, too. You got new motivation. The babies. Them babies is looking at mommy. That's the motivation. Remember, we're just 1 year apart with this grad school thing. I had Jaden, and he's about the same age as Rainey. And yeah, it motivated me. I was like, listen, I got to do this for the kids.
Well, we're going to see. We're definitely going to see. That's what we're going to do.
Well, if I got to take some steps, I'll be down there to help you. I will be there while you writing them papers. I ain't got you on the papers. I'm tired of writing. But
everybody just tap in, say a prayer for me, because, well, actually don't pray for me. I know how I feel about that. But yeah, just tap in. I'm gonna make it through.
I can send you some Uber Eats. I got you.
My dog. All right, so what are we talking about this week? I saw a couple of presidential debates. Pence in this damn fly on the top of his head looking crazy. What's really going on in the world?
Yes. So last week was the vice presidential debate, and it was amazing. I enjoyed every moment of it. I know there are some people who were not fans of Miss Harris because they didn't feel she was as assertive or as aggressive as she could have been. However, I really appreciated her. I like how she, with class, gathered Vice President Pence. She reclaimed her time. She in a classy way, told him that she was speaking. She had the floor and you will give me my time. I appreciated that. And I think every Black woman or woman of color all across America understands that code switch. I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Okay.
And now I know how to address people in meetings when they're talking over top of me, regurgitating some of my ideas. No, I've got this. I'm speaking. I don't know when that fly decided to show up, but it was the comedic relief I needed. When, if you're following us on Twitter on Mother's Podcast, I shared that is exactly how my toddler busts in the room when I'm on a Zoom call for work, just right here.
Let's get it. Let's go.
Yes, and people say flies are attracted to BS. So there you go. There you have it. What do you think of the debates?
I don't think anything of them. I was like, no, let me stop. You know how I feel about politics. It's a necessary evil. I feel like regardless of who you pick, there's got to be somebody in position. I think Camilla did a great job. I think that she knew what she needed to say and she did a good job holding herself together. But I also want to acknowledge Pence, because Pence knew what his audience was and who he had to appeal to. And he appealed to the people he needed to appeal to. That whole slow talking, I'm macho, I got this under control. It is what it is with me. I'm going to patronize you a little bit. I ain't really got to say much just because I'm already in power. So it is what it is. And you just, he knew who he had to appeal to, and he appealed to those people. So those people still going to vote for him, regardless of what Camilla said, regardless of how passionate she tried to be when answering her questions. Them folks still going to vote for him.
So the one thing I will say, and I know we're going to dive into this later on in the show, but when they brought up her record, I was nervous because I knew that it was going to come up at some point. And I really think she handled herself very well when she talked about, the policies and the things that she's had to pass and push for, and how he couldn't speak to what she did because he's never done those things. So I thought that she did a good job. But at the end of the day, I honestly don't know that I feel that the debates are necessary, because whatever side you're on, I think everyone is very decided at this point.
I don't know. It could be one, at any given time, like one fact or one answer could sway you the other way. Hopefully these Black Trump supporters get swayed by listening to Biden and Harris, and they hear one answer and they're like, actually, that's the one. That's the one right there. I don't know. We'll see.
We shall. So speaking of strong Black leads, before we get into the main topic tonight, let's talk about Lovecraft Country and how every week they bring me nearly to tears.
I cried.
So powerful. So
Girl,
powerful.
You know what? Journey knows which roles to play. Okay. She did it in Underground. She did it in Eve's Bayou when she was young. She's doing it now in Lovecraft. She plays the hell out of these historic ass roles. It draws you in. It teaches you Black history lessons at the same time, and you just can't move away from her. She's playing the hell out of this role.
Yes.
But and you know what I really like? You've been spot on a lot about this show. Remember, you was like, Montrose, watch, that chick might not be his son. Watch. Boom, there he goes. I like how they're developing Montrose's character as well. Yes. Because everybody saw him and you were trying to figure out what's wrong with him. Like why does he move the way he's moved? Because he's kind of shisty. But then last episode really explained that. Like, he moves that way because he was brought up in an era where he couldn't be himself. And he's always trying to overcompensate and be something that he wasn't. And to him, he believes that he's trying to be manly because he wasn't allowed to be himself. And the way he fathered Tick is the same way he was fathered.
Right. And it just, it goes back to generational curses, right? And we talk about that and what that means but we never really talk about what it looks like and how it manifests when you raise your children and the things that you're trying to protect your children from. Sometimes you end up repeating those things. So I don't want to give any spoilers, y'all. This show, I saw some white content or non-Black content creators saying that this show was not for them. It's not a bad show, but they just didn't feel like they could comment on it because it was not for them. This show is for everyone. This show is for every American, period. I think it's for everyone, period, but especially every American. It doesn't matter if you're Black, white, or indifferent, because there are history lessons, and Black history is a part of American history.
Who said they couldn't relate? Who said it wasn't for them?
There was a white critic who was critiquing every episode, and then I think last week or the week prior, he said that he wouldn't critique it anymore because he feels that he's not the audience and the show is not for him.
But he is though. Is he not watching Christina? The fact that sorry y'all, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched, give me 2 seconds, okay? 30 seconds, that's it. Christina, as quiet as it's kept, and if you're not watching her character, you need to watch her character. Go back and watch like the last 3 episodes. She fell in love with old girl Ruby.
She did.
Christina low-key loves Ruby. And you can watch it every time she does something, whether she's like the whole Emmett Till thing, I don't care. But she did care enough to go and feel what Emmett Till felt.
Mm-hmm.
She did ask those officers to kill her the same way Emmett Till got killed so that she could understand it. So as bad as she wants the book of spells so that she can be this powerful white man because she's actually a white woman and the order wasn't made for her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Y'all need to rewatch the show. If you don't feel like this show is for you, you need to rewatch the show and watch it closely because there's a role for everybody in this bitch.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? Because between the debates and Lovecraft Country, that's all I really had time to get into this week.
So have you watched Charm City Kings yet? I
have not.
Okay, watch that.
Okay.
Watch that and we'll discuss that next week. Okay. Did we watch Cardi and Offset and learn to mind our business?
Oh, I learned to mind my business way back. Way back when it comes to Cardi and Offset. When she forgave him the first time around.
We minding our business. We're gonna let them folks. We're gonna mind our business.
Absolutely.
Mind our business.
Married people, as long as he's not putting his hands on her, let them do whatever it is that they're doing.
Okay. Sis, okay, let's dive into this week's topic because I'm very excited of who we have coming on to speak with us tonight. Your man Trump said he was gonna give out hugs now that he's COVID free.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right.
He could keep them. No, thank you.
He's giving out hugs and kisses to males and females, baby.
No, and people will be right there passing their baby for him to kiss on the forehead. No, thank you. I'm good. If Dr. Fauci say it was okay for him to be out here hugging people.
You say science don't know it, so it don't matter. So
listen. No, ma'am. Well, so we can get on ahead and dive right into this. You all know that we love to discuss politics and give our opinion, but every now and then we like to get a subject matter expert on so that we can validate our opinions or so that we can learn something new. And I've been following this gentleman for quite some time now, and I'm very impressed that within, he's a delegate for the state of Maryland. Within the 2 years that he's had in office, he's gotten to sponsor and co-sponsor a lot of bills, and we'll let him speak to that. He's young. He has an illustrious resume. I mean, he can't even fit his resume on his website. That's how long it is. He has his resume on his website, his bio, and then I did some background research on his Indeed. So he has a history in acquisitions. He's also a fellow military member. prior Air Force. So let's go. Without further ado, let's bring on Delegate Nick Charles.
Hey, what's going on, ladies? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it. Mothers.
Thank you for having your people get back to our people.
Hey, that was quick. It was quick, man. It was seamless, though, wasn't it?
Very much
really
so.
No problems.
Very much
We
so.
even rescheduled on you, so thank you for rescheduling with us because we even rescheduled on you.
That's all good. We can figure. We always can make a way to figure this thing out.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I know I didn't do your resume complete justice. So those who do not know you or what it is that you do, can you give us a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do for the state of Maryland?
So I am a Maryland state delegate. I represent District 25. And you had mentioned that you just started your new job on Andrews Air Force Base. So Andrews Air Force Base is actually within my legislative district. I represent over 119,000 constituents. So I have the city of District Heights, the town of Morningside, Forestville, Capitol Heights, Largo, Upper Marlboro, Westphalia, all of the community college. So I represent a very vast and diverse group of folks throughout Prince George's County. So I've been in the State House for 2 years, and I sit on the Health and Government Operations Committee, and I'm the vice chair for the Law Enforcement Subcommittee for the Prince George's County delegation. And outside of that, I also sit on the board for a federally qualified health center that provides medical services, mental health, dental, and doctor services to those in need. So it's all of this keeps me fairly busy. So I'm happy to be of service. So, but like I said, I want to thank you guys, for even taking the opportunity to reach out to me to have me here. So enough about me. Let's get into this thing, man.
Oh, he's ready.
Well, I do have one more question about you before we dive in. So, your history in politics is fairly new, I would say. What made you want to? Well, is it? Is it? What made you want to politics?
So I've probably been around for roughly a little over 10 years. So, when I came home from the military serving active duty, I bought a house in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and I immediately got engaged and got on the board, became the treasurer, then became the president. I was elected president by the communities, for 7 straight years. And then I got appointed by the chair of the county council to a commission for Joint Base Andrews land utilization, which dealt with creating the zoning policy around Andrews Air Force Base. So I did that. I've been a member of Prince George's County Young Democrats. So I've been around in the game. I've helped out a lot of different candidates who are running for county executive, for state delegate. And that's how I really got my start, really helping other candidates, understanding the positions, what they meant, how they can truly help our community. And a lot of that stemmed from when I was a civic association president, really tapping into being able to call somebody, just pick up the phone and call a cell phone number to get something done. I got tired of red tape. I didn't want to deal with red tape. I wanted to go straight to the source whenever there was a problem. So that's how it all started. And then when I realized that it was time for me to step into those same exact shoes to clear the red tape even further and be able to be a voice for a lot of the folks, especially in the community that I was raised in. Because District 25, I was raised here. I went to elementary school in this district, went to high school in this district. I served on Andrews Air Force Base in this district. I served as a civic association president. My mom, my grandmother, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, they all live here. A lot of my homeboys and their families still live here. A lot of my homegirls and their families still live here. So for me, I'm a homegrown District 25 resident. So to be able to be in that position, I would say I've always been around. And these 10 years is just the 10 years that allowed for me to be able to be a voice for my district.
How is it being back where you're from and being in politics? Do you think that makes you want to work harder in politics because you're representing your people? Like those are people you grew up with, you chop it up with.
Oh yeah, like when I walk outside, because my house is in the neighborhood I grew up in. I literally bought a house 7 homes down from my mother's house.
Oh, yes.
she actually moved from her house. She's moved to Upper Marlboro, which is still in my district. But being here, I was just outside. There was a issue today with there was some type of explosion with Pepco, and it knocked out a lot of the electricity. So I walked outside, and I'm on the phone with Pepco, and literally, as soon as I stepped out the door, Nick, what's going on? I said, listen, man, I got this. I'm already on with Pepco. I'm getting them. I'm letting them know what the issue is, so we can get these guys to try to figure out how to fix the problem for us. So, for that, a lot of those same folks are folks that watched me grow up as a kid, watch me be a little knucklehead in the neighborhood, and and then see me to grow into what I'm doing now. It's been a blessing for me, to be able to have that feeling, knowing that I grew up here and all of these folks watched me grow up. They got to see the transition of the young Nick Charles to the go off to the military Nick Charles, come home and become a young homeowner, because I bought my house when I was 23. So being a young homeowner in the community, and then getting engaged on the board in the community, and then actually running for office and losing, but not giving up and saying I'm gonna come back after 2014 and run again in 2018 and to win, and then to be able to be that voice and constantly talking with everybody, letting them know what the issues are, uh, and if they got any concerns. And a lot of times, what we do as state legislators is a lot of the issues that people have are more specific to the county council or to the school board. But because of my position as a state delegate, I leverage that and utilize the resources of relationships to make those calls to Pepco, right? Because I don't run Pepco, but as a legislator, we create policy that can impact Pepco. So for me to be able to call them, because of that type of relationship, I can get things to happen for the community. Like State Highway had knocked down a bunch of trees on Pennsylvania Avenue, and I had a lot of the community complaining about that. So I was able to call State Highway, and they put fences up to make sure that it protected the community from a lot of the noise and people being able to see through the community on Pennsylvania Avenue. I have people calling me about issues with the police right now, and I'm able to call the deputy chief and call the district commander, who's my homegirl that I actually grew up with, and she's the youngest district commander out of all 8 Prince George's County precincts. She's the youngest district commander, and she and I went to church together. We worked at Wendy's together. This is my homegirl. We go all the way back. So, it's just those type of things, man, being able to leverage, the relationships and get things done.
And that's actually important, because when we talk about, the relationship with our communities and police officers, and especially in this climate, in this election season, a lot of people have the thought process that, well, what difference does it make if we vote or not? People are still, dying at the hands of cops. There's still police brutality. There's still no justice. So for people who feel that way, that's a great way to bridge that gap and show where that connects. So thank you for saying that.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Now we definitely have to really we have to be very honest with ourselves, and the police have to be honest with themselves as well. That there are a whole lot of bad police, and there are a whole lot of good ones as well. But when you have the ones that are bad doing what they're doing, it creates that stain on their entire group. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of people that's wanting change. And there's been some hearings that the state House of Delegates have had, and the Senate has pulled together, and the county has pulled together, where folks are looking at different pieces of legislation that can be introduced this coming session on how we'll do police reform. So it's a lot of things. And I told my friend, I told my homegirl, I told the deputy, there are going to be some changes, and they have to just deal with those changes when they come, and they all understand that change is going to come. And a lot of these folks, like I said, they grew up here, or they've been like the deputy chief. Yeah. He's been here for over 20 plus years, right. As a brother. And he and I had a discussion. I had talked to him about when I walked into our district office, and District 8, the precinct, when I looked on the wall and I looked at the leadership on the wall, and District 8 goes to Forestville, Capitol Heights, Suitland, District Heights, and I saw all white faces in this majority black district. And I was like, oh man, I said, that's not cool. And so it's that you have to be able to have that type of relationship where you got multiple people, a diverse group of folks. And he was like, nah, Nick, we actually have a new district commander that's actually coming on board, and she's going to be stepping into place because the previous district commander was a brother who had just retired and became a chief of police for a college. Mm-hmm. So the interim guy happened, a real good guy. The interim guy stepped in to take control, but my homegirl then stepped in to be the actual District 8 commander. So we see that diversity and making sure that we got folks that look like us in leadership positions so that when they see these problems, they are able to see it through the lens of black folks and not from the lens of blue folks.
And that's funny that you mentioned that, because not too long ago, I mean, maybe even a decade ago, and I grew up in Montgomery County, and you grew up in PG County, so you know this to be true. If you cross that beltway, people would tell you, PG County, they don't play over there. Them cops will rough you up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, thank God, I grew up in the inner beltway. I grew up in Suitland and Forestville, and thank God I've never had the experience of being roughed up by the police and my community, thank God, and I haven't had any of my friends that had that as well. So, but that's not to say those things didn't happen, because you look at you can pull up the news articles and hear about the police brutalizing folks and killing folks. And, you've heard that there are multiple cases of that. But when we talk about accountability, and we talk about making sure that we as a collective really get engaged in the electoral process, that's when we got to understand who actually appoints the chief of police.
Right.
Who confirms the chief of police. So that's why you need to know who your county executive is. You need to be engaged with your county executive, which we have a great county executive with Angela Alsobrooks. You need to know who your county council members are, because they are the ones who actually confirm her nomination for the chief. So you need to know who that is. And we're actually going through a nomination process now. They're trying to find out. They're doing a nationwide search for the replacement of the chief, because the current chief, the previous chief, he stepped down. So there's a nationwide search to find a replacement for the chief of police for Prince George's County. So the community needs to get engaged and call their council members and find out who actually is who are they recommending? Who do you think the county executive is recommending? And I know on her Instagram page or her Facebook page, she had a survey that was put out. And I think I shared it on mine as well for folks. And I can reshare it so you guys can go to my Instagram page and go to my Facebook page so you can answer the questions that are some of the things that you're looking for when looking for a police chief. So as a community, you get your voice heard. But in addition to that, the state's attorney, a lot of folks, have been making a lot of talks about the DAs in a lot of different jurisdictions. Our state attorney's office is very critical and important. Aisha Braveboy, who was our current state's attorney, and the previous state's attorney, who's now the current county executive, Angela Alsobrooks, have held police officers who have done people wrong in our community very accountable. So, for instance, the officer who shot the man in the front seat of his vehicle, that officer is facing time in prison because of that, because our state's attorney wasted no time and brought criminal charges against him. When there was a police officer under Angela Alsobrooks' purview that put a firearm to someone's head who was sitting in front of his house, that same police officer is now serving time in prison for overzealous use of force in our community. So there are multiple examples of our state's attorneys holding officers accountable within our jurisdiction. So be very aware of who the state's attorney candidates are. And so you know what they actually want to do, how they will operate under these particular situations, so that you know who you should vote for. So I recommend everyone to definitely pay attention to every single state's attorney's election, every single county executive election, every single state legislator election. Because what I do, a lot of people don't pay attention to it, but I make the laws and I can change the laws for the entire state of Maryland. The laws that we implement in the Maryland General Assembly literally trickles all the way down into the counties and how they can truly operate. So we make the laws, and have you guys seen that video of the young cat named Yella? He was rapping and about President Obama and teaching people about the election process.
Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's a dope video. But the young cat was rapping about the entire process of election and how people have over the years forgotten about the true importance of the elections. And they constantly talk about the presidential election, the presidential election, the presidential election, but they never talk about the congressional election. They talked about how folks were upset that Obama didn't increase minimum wage. Obama can't increase minimum wage. That literally comes from the General Assembly, from Congress, from us in the General Assembly in Maryland, and the governor or the president then either vetoes that bill or they sign it into law. We make those laws. We make them. So find out who your state delegates are. Find out who your congressman is. For the congressional level, those are your individuals who make laws that impact the entire federal government and the entire country. That's what your congressional members do. And your U.S. senators, they are that second body of the upper chamber that does the same exact thing. In the state of Maryland, we have 141 state delegates and 47 state senators. So we all collectively come together to change the laws and make the laws in the state. So get to know who your legislators are. Get to know who these judges are. That's another big thing that's on the election ballots right now. Get to know your judges.
So you said a mouthful, Nick. You really did.
Going, man. I can keep going. I'm sorry.
You got me interested. I'm over here like, okay, he know his stuff over here. But I have a question for you, because let's take it back a couple steps. You said how important it is to vote people in that look like you. In corporate America, I sometimes feel like people that look like me aren't always on my side.
Yeah. All skin folk ain't kin folk.
Okay. So you want us to vote people in that look like us because you said you walked into the wall and you seen, he was like, this is unacceptable. And my heart is actually into the 25th. I didn't know you represent. My aunt lives over there. My daughters actually used to get babysat over there until I moved back to Virginia. So thank you for the work that you're doing, keeping it safe for my family who's a part of your district. But why is it important to have people that look like us? Because not everybody has our best interests at heart just because they look like us.
Yeah, like I said, the previous district commander, he was actually a cool dude. I actually sat and talked with him. I didn't get anything bad from him. He's the deputy now in that district. But really having somebody that grew up in the community, that understands the community, that I know is, that me personally, I know is down to earth. She's not uptight. She's not all about herself. She was selfless when we worked at Wendy's with each other. Grew up in church, So to have somebody like that in the position she's in, it's good to have those things. And then when you look at voting for someone, you really need to look at the totality, the total person as a whole, and you got to talk to them. I call and I talk to the folks when they're running. What you trying to do? What would you do in this particular situation? What would you do? Like every single candidate that ran for state's attorney, I literally asked them, I said, so what would you do in this particular situation? Are you going to immediately clam up, or are you going to actually run and do something with it? And I got some very different answers from different folks. And I'm not going to dive into those answers and I'm not going to call anybody out, but I got some really different answers. And when you're going to the election polls, you should be able to know that you understand where each candidate stands. And that's where a lot of us fail in our communities.
That was going to be my question. How do they find out where their candidate stands with it? They can't always have a conversation like you can have a conversation. So where do they find that information out?
But you really can, though, because every single campaign has a phone number. Every single candidate has a majority of them have Facebook pages, Instagram pages, Twitter pages. Their information is on the Board of Elections website, where you can, if they got an address there, where you can send to their PO box a question. There are so many ways. Like, we cannot utilize excuses. Excuses are tools of the incompetent, and we are not incompetent in our communities. We have to truly go out there and do our due diligence and ask these questions. Because if we don't ask the questions, what's going to happen is the folks they're just going to win. They're going to win without any pushback. And so if you want the right person to win, we as a community have to get up and actually start reaching out to these candidates. Because a lot of times these candidates don't reach out to everybody. Like, I have 119,000 people in my district, but I knocked on 10,000 doors. 10,000. Okay, that's not even a quarter of my entire district.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a year to knock on 10,000 doors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to reach out to 119,000 people. So that 119,000 people, we try to get mail out. It costs literally to send out 10,000 mail to 10,000 homes. It costs about $8,000 a mailer to get to those homes. So if you're trying to get that multiple times, it gets very expensive.
Right.
And where they start, they should be held. And where they start.
In a pre-pandemic world, right? Because now no one can say that they don't have time to research. Not many people can say that they don't have time to research. Let me
I want to say that not everybody, but still think about your district, think about who lives in your district, think about the people that are not going to research because they don't know how.
So this is where my question is going.
Okay.
Right? So most people at this point do have time to research, but not everyone. However, pre-pandemic and who knows post-pandemic what life is going to look like. When we're back to normal and I do an 8-hour day and then I come home and I have 3 children to wrangle and I have, a master's degree that I'm studying for and this, that, and the third, and there's 100 and some odd people, on the list to vote for, how do I digest that? You know what I mean? How do I on top of all of these people that are on the ballot to make the right decision?
This is that paper that you did not want to write for grad school. All right. This is that paper. You don't want it. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's easy to go and truly search out every single candidate, but you're going to have to. You're going to have to. If they're in my race, when I ran in 2014, there were 10 candidates that ran for delegate. The top 3 candidates won. And 2018, when I ran, there were about 7 candidates. Obviously, the top 3 win. I lost in 2014. I won in 2018, but I was able to get more information out to more people. I had a little bit more money to spend to actually get my message out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things, I was able to get my message out a lot more, but in addition to that, folks were also receptive and getting the information that I put out as well.
See, but I'm still looking at both of y'all like it's not even the mom that's tired. It's not the person working 8 hours. It's your person who may not have finished high school, who is literally just chilling at home with the kids and they don't understand politics, but somebody told them to go out and vote and they go into the ballot and checking whoever is the hot candidate. How do they get their information? They just going with the flow.
Absolutely.
I think when I say there's 119,000 people in my district and
I know your district. I know what street my kids was getting raised on. I know your district.
10,000 people showed up to vote.
Okay.
10,000 that showed up to vote. That's less than 15%. Less. So there are some very educated people. And I have one of the largest educated districts in Prince George's County. And we get a lot of these folks, they don't necessarily vote. And I can even speak for myself. When I first came home, I didn't understand what a lot of these positions were. Right. So it took time to figure this out and to learn it. But I had to put that energy into, and that's why I'm even here on the podcast, because I want I want your listeners to understand these positions as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a part of that outreach where we as elected officials as well, we do our part in making sure that people understand all of our positions and what we really do and how we can truly impact your day-to-day life. And what are these other positions and how do they impact your day-to-day life?
Right.
So, like for instance, this is going to get shared to however many people that's watching today. When it goes up on your website, it'll be there for people to actually get the opportunity to go back and look on it. So however many times it's shared, this is giving people that knowledge base so they can at least take the next step forward, which is at least I know what these positions are. Now let me go look at,
Mm-hmm.
who is this person? Why should I vote for out of these 10 different candidates? What do they have that resonates with me? Because we lay out our platforms of some of the things that we're focused on. So you look at the platforms, you see where does that fit with what I actually want? I don't even care about that. Why they're talking about this particular issue, but I don't care about that. That's something internally which each individual will have to go and look at these platforms, talk to individuals. If they don't understand the platform, make that phone call, send that Instagram message, send that Facebook message to say, hey, I'm interested to learn a little bit more about your platform. And I know earlier you guys were talking about the debates. That's why these local debates are even more important because you end up getting all of us in the room. I did about.
What channel does that come on? Because
There's no TV. It's normally in person. A lot of churches hold debates, community groups hold debates. So I was in maybe about 10 debates. But you know how many people showed up to those debates? It was literally about like 10, 15 people in the room, 20 people in the room.
Why is that? Why?
right.
Well, I think it's the apathy portion, the voter apathy. I don't think I think folks only care about it, and we don't get as much, especially in our local elections. We don't get the sexy TV time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not talking about what's happening on the state level. You may get that in the Baltimore Sun, but if you live in the DMV, you're not getting the Baltimore Sun. You get the Washington Post. The Washington Post only talks about it if it's a very galvanizing piece of legislation that is changing something across the entire state, but it's the only time it's been done in the country, and it'll make the front page of the paper. But most of the times it's, 3 sections in on the 4th page.
I know newspapers. A lot of people aren't even reading newspapers anymore. I get my news from social media. By the time CNN has reported the stuff that I'm interested in, I've already seen it on TMZ, Shade Room,
Right.
on my feed.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I add. Being a millennial for my team is we utilize social media and we put out. I know you've seen me put out a lot of different things. I'm constantly trying to share and keep folks engaged and as far as what I'm doing, what's going on in my district, what's going on with the elections. But even when you look at how many followers I have, for instance, right? That's why it's important for others to share the information. I only got about 3,900 or 4,000 followers, but like I said, in my district, 10,000 people showed up to vote. I don't even have the full amount of people that showed up to vote in my district.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at my district, not everybody even lives in my district. I mean, that follows me even lives in my district. So social media is a tool to get information out as much as possible, but it's only as powerful as other people start to share that and disseminate information out so that everybody feels like they're knowledgeable about what's going on.
Yeah, I understand, and I don't want to give you a hard time, but I will urge you as a politician and as the delegate of the 25th district to figure out a way to appeal to the people that are not going to do the research. Because we got people in the comments right now like, you'll do the research if you care. No, people will not. There is somebody right now that wants to go vote and is going to vote in this election, and all they see is that sign. They don't understand anything else. They just know that somebody told them not to vote for Trump, so they finna go vote for Biden and Harris. When your election comes up, all they're gonna do is see, when they on their way to the poll, they're gonna see a sign, and that's who they're gonna vote for today. They're not going to research anything. They're going to vote because somebody told them to vote. And y'all have to figure out how to educate those people, because those people aren't going to go look for answers. And it's not fair to think that they will, because everybody doesn't understand how to. No matter how much you talk about it, they're not going to get it. So you got to figure out how to go appeal to those people.
And God forbid they take away Democrat and Republican and it's just a bunch of names.
Yes, then they really not going to know what to do, because somebody told them you should always go vote for Democrats if you want to keep your welfare. So they hit it down to the poll. But they need that check this month. And that's the wrong person to vote for. Yeah. So y'all going to have to figure out some other way. Don't think that people are going to research if they really care, because they're not.
Well, that's like I said, that's one of those things where it's a double-pronged attack. We, like what I'm doing right now, being on here to try to educate folks, that's one piece of it.
Yeah.
You know, I've probably done about 5 different podcasts within the last month about the importance of the election, the importance of being engaged. But it's only as powerful as many times as it's shared. Like I said, you know, even with knocking on doors, you know, I go knock on doors and try to talk to as many people as possible. But now, even with the pandemic going on, like what I'm forced to do now is I have to make phone calls. So I'm on the phone calling folks, checking in on constituents, seeing how folks are doing, reaching out to different community leaders, seeing if they need access to anything, if they got any problems. So that takes time as well, trying to roll through all of those calls. And so it's a process. It's a process. But for me, my door is always open. So if you got questions, y'all see my IG on there. You can follow me, Nick Charles 2, and reach out to me anytime. You know, I get people randomly, folks that I grew up with or folks that I don't know, and say, hey, I follow you. I'm trying to find out who should I vote for in this upcoming election. I see these judges on here. Who are these judges? Who should I vote for? I see they're talking about a Court of Appeals judge. Who is he? Did he do a good job? Should I put him back in office? You know, and so I get these types of questions from different people. What is question 1? What is question 2? What does any of this stuff even mean? What are these ballot measures? And so I end up answering a lot of these questions for a lot of folks. So, you know, my message box, my DM is always open. You know, I'm always willing to reach out and discuss with anybody.
So what would you say? Because 2016's election, we already know how divisive that was. And we saw, I think we saw the Democratic Party splinter. And I think we've lost a lot of people on that side, right? At this time around, there's still a lot of people who do not feel that either side represent them. And every time we get towards an election and we say, well, what about a third party? Or, you know, the Democratic Party needs to be overhauled or what have you, we get told, oh, this is not the time. You can't talk about that right now. You guys are being divisive. A, what do you say to people who do not feel that either side represents them? And B, what would be the problem with the third party?
For those who don't think any side represents, you got to find, you know, you remember those Venn diagram charts we used to have to do back in middle school? You need to put on one side, this is this candidate, this side, this is this candidate. What do I like out of each side, and start putting them in the middle? And what do I like the most? And whoever gives you what you're looking for the most, that's who you should vote for. You know, now I'm just going to be 100%. I'm a Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat. I'm voting for a Democrat, and I would love for you all to vote for our good sister Kamala Harris to become the next vice president of the United States of America.
Is that because we're women?
Hey, no,
why do you like her? What is it about her?
You know, one of the things I like, she's down to earth. My father went to college with her. They both came out of Howard together, graduated together. She's sharp. She's sharp. She knows how to handle herself, as you guys talked about the debate earlier. How she handled herself with poise, even when this man was interrupting her the entire time, she still kept her composure. Wasn't cutting that man out. So, you know, but she's still strong. She's powerful. You know, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and so for me, my young daughter being able to look up one day and say, I can be the vice president of the United States. I can be the president of the United States. It means so much more than just the symbolism, but it's a lot for the culture for us to have somebody that looks like us, that's come through the educational systems like us, that brings this level of understanding and empathy to.
But what about her past?
A lot of people talk about her past as a prosecutor. That was her job as a prosecutor. Now, I can't speak to her every single case that she has because I don't know that, and I'm not going to sit here and try to.
Okay.
Every single record she has, but you got some people that break the law.
Yeah.
You got some people that break the law and are running around and doing some egregious things in our communities. One of the things that you applauded me for is trying to keep our community safe. We all, regardless of the color of our skin, want to make sure that we can raise our children in a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a prosecutor, her job is to keep people off. Now, I can't speak to the types of crimes, like there are low-level crimes that she had those folks in, but I do realize that she put programs in place that work with folks so you wouldn't put low-level crime committers in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't speak to every single one piece of her platform, but I think she has done a lot and showing empathy across, and running the second largest criminal justice outfit outside of the Department of Justice using California. Her having that experience, it speaks volume for what she's going to be able to do as the vice president.
Okay. So circling back to a third party though.
Yeah.
What would be the harm, or what do you see would be the issue with an alternate party?
Oof. Alternate party. The reality is I don't think they'll ever win. I think you have so many people that's either left or folks that are right. So you got, I forgot what they said the percentage was of individuals that were independent voters. And you got third party, you got the Green Party. If you've ever, when you looked at the ballot and you show up on election day, you'll see it's like 20 different parties. So we're past the third party, about 20 of them. Mm-hmm. And so you got the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the Peace Party, the this party, that party. You got all these different parties. But as you can see, they never are able to generate enough votes because they don't have the ability to get people to join onto their team. At the end of the day, the Green Party's been around for a long time. But can you tell me the last Green Party candidate that ran for office?
No.
Exactly. I can't either.
I feel
let me Google it because I feel like you're trying to pop quiz us and we wasn't ready. So I ain't asked you no questions that you wasn't ready for, but it's okay. Okay.
That's a good question. No.
But that parties, you got third parties in place though.
Right.
I was getting that.
And I think the only reason that I bring it up is because I saw that going around, those comments making the rounds during this election cycle when people were again disgruntled at who was selected as the presidential and vice presidential nominees. But I think, everyone is ready to get on board for the most part, but then it's like, okay, then what? What is in it for us? What is tangible? And going specifically into that, I Googled the initiatives that both Biden and current President Trump have specifically for the African American communities. And on both ends, it's a lot of fluffy, nice, glittery stuff that sounds good, but it doesn't say how these initiatives are going to be enacted. So what's in it for us?
What's in it is we need to start looking at the local levels. That's where we're really going. Some of the legislation that I put in is making sure that our small minority businesses truly get seats at the table. When our small minority businesses are got access to the contracts, they can then win those contracts and then hire people within our own communities and start to lower that unemployment ratio that we have that's been a pandemic on our community for far too long. When we start looking at pieces of legislation that I'm putting in that would allow for us to sue individuals who make racially motivated 911 calls, these are all local bills in the state of Maryland. And we can talk about the federal level we can talk about that all day, but if you're not even focusing in on who your state legislators are and what type of legislation they're pushing at the local level that impacts you on a day-to-day, that's where we get lost. And I think we need to really focus in on that part, who our state legislators are, who our county council members are, what type of zoning are they putting in place. You know, are you going into your community and all you seeing is pop-up the storage units being put all over your community? Who's your county council member that's allowing nothing but storage units to be developed in your community?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, are you getting, fine dining establishments brought into your community, or are you getting pop-up storage units? You know, what are they doing to bring those things? So what type of education are your kids receiving in school? Are they allowing for us to have local government be taught in the school system? Who's your school board member? Are they actually making sure your kids learn about this prior to getting out of school, so that when they go into when they turn 18 and they're actually able to vote, they actually know what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And are they teaching what's on the ballot? So when you actually get that ballot and you're 18 years old, you know exactly what you can vote for, and you can do the research, and teaching our kids how to do that research in school. And that's probably something that, we need to all circle around and get our school board members to implement throughout the
Definitely.
career. You know,
That answer, Jill Stein. Boom.
oh, that was the Green Party.
2016 was Jill Stein. I knew it was a woman. That's all I was.
She making it up. She did not know.
No,
She got what?
I
She
did.
got what? 1.2% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, so we're a couple of weeks away from the 2020 presidential election. How important is it to go vote, whether you know what side it is? And do you think that the Black vote is that important in this election?
Oh, yeah, it's very important. We need to turn out in record numbers. What took place when Hillary ran is there was a lack of folks showing up to vote. The reason we currently have a Republican governor in a majority Democratic state like Maryland is because we had a lack of Black voter turnout in the state of Maryland. The turnout had dropped so significantly that they were able to get a Republican governor in to oversee the whole entire state of Maryland. Our vote truly matters, and it's imperative that we get folks out to vote. I know one of the questions that I know we wanted to talk about the Electoral College.
Yes, explain that to us.
And how the Electoral College works. So back in 2016, when Hillary ran, she literally, if 40,000 people between, what states was it? Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. If 40,000 people would have showed up to vote, and a lot of times that's our people over in Philly, our folks in a lot of these communities, and in Detroit. You know, if our folks actually showed up to vote in numbers, Hillary would have actually beat Trump because she would have had the actual electoral votes. So the way the Electoral College works is it's a winner-take-all situation. Right now, if you actually won the popular vote, if you won California and Texas off the popular vote alone, you could almost win the rest of the country because Texas and California is so heavily populated. So because of that, they break it down into the Electoral College, where it's based off of your 2 senators and the total amount of congressional members you have, and that's how many actual Electoral College voters you get.
Okay.
Once you have the Electoral College voters, each state gets that. So instead of it being so heavily based off of population, Now it's narrowed down to a smaller subset so that California doesn't have a stronger advantage. Because California, if everybody showed up to vote in California, all you would need to do is really win California. If everybody showed up in Texas, all you would really need to do was win Texas. But it's all based off of that popular vote in the actual state. So if all of the folks like in Michigan, actually, if Hillary would have won, so what? Let me see. I have typed some stuff up about that. And in Michigan alone, Hillary, she lost by 10,705 votes.
Okay.
If Hillary would have got 10,705 votes in Michigan, she would have actually gained 16 of those electoral college votes that would have went towards her actual 218, because she lost 279 to 218 for the electoral college votes. So if she would have picked up, if those folks would have showed up to vote, she would have won all of the electoral college votes for those 3 states, would have pushed her over Trump. So in the state of Maryland, we have 10 electoral college votes,
Okay.
our senators and our congressional members, and but they're not the actual voters. The voters are selected by the Democratic Central Committee. They're submitted to the governor, and those folks, and so the Republican Central Committee, and those people are submitted to the governor. When they're submitted to the governor, they actually show up to the state house to actually make their vote. And they actually have to vote for who won the actual popular vote in that state. So instead of Maryland could have 20 million people, but you're only going to get 10 electoral college votes. Only 10.
And those votes, the electoral college votes, are based on whoever wins the popular vote in your state.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Does it make sense? Did I lose you?
It's clear as
'Cause
mud.
I know, huh?
Clear as mud. Got it.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's good on it. I didn't want to leave you any stones unturned on
Well,
it.
I think that's the thing, though. A lot of people are like, well, why do I vote? Because at the end of the day, who truly picks the president is the electoral college.
No,
So a
but-
lot of
but
people think that we're just going in and we're putting our ballot just to check a box. So it's important for people to understand that whole process.
Right. So for instance, like I said about Michigan, 10,705 people chose not to vote at all. Had 10,705 additional people showed up to vote for Hillary in 2016, that would have turned and make, because it's a winner take all state.
Right.
All 16 of those electoral college votes were to Hillary.
So, okay, so there are states that aren't winner take all?
Right. So there are, what is it, a total of, I had it written down here somewhere.
Take your time, go through the notes. Come on, we got to inform the people on the right way to do this.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So that's
48 states. So there are 48 states that are actually winner take all. So it's only 2 states that aren't.
Okay. And so, okay, I have family in DC. We were at memorial for my aunt this weekend, and we had lunch after, and they were talking about how DC votes don't technically count toward the presidential election, and people in DC really just throwing away ballots. Is that true?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. I thought DC's votes actually counted,
Because do they get electoral college votes?
I don't think they get the electoral college votes, but the votes count. So I would have to do some research on it. Don't quote me on that. Nobody on this podcast quote me on that, because I don't know the answer.
So they do. It says since the adoption of the 23rd Amendment of the United States Constitution, which happened in 1961, Washington, D.C. has had 3 electoral votes in the election of the president and vice president of the United States.
Boom.
Got it. Okay.
Patty on it. Thank you.
She's always on it. Trust me.
Before we pivot and before we let you go, I do have a question that I enjoy asking because it seems like a pipe dream, but I'm here for it. What are your thoughts on the idea of reparations?
Oh man, I co-sponsored the reparations bill this year.
What does that mean? So when we talk about reparations, it's like it's a great idea, but 40 acres and a mule ain't for everybody. What is reparations?
That's not gonna happen. So some of the things. So one of my office mate, good colleague of mine, Delegate Juanita Fisher. She and I were going back and forth. I was like, I'm putting the reparations. I told her, I'm putting the reparations bill in this year. And she's like, nah, Nick, I'm already putting the reparations bill. I was like, all right, listen, well, I'll pull back and I'll co-sponsor your bill once you put it in. What her reparation bill did was bring forth a study so that we can look at all of the ways, because some of the things I wanted to do was make sure that college was free for all folks who came from slavery. I wanted to make sure that we got zero interest loans on homes. I wanted to make sure banks that had made any type of profit off of slavery in the past, that they had to put up some type of money that went towards paying for a lot of these things that we were looking for. Small business loans, zero interest, small business grants and loans to folks, so we can actually get the resources we need to start our own businesses. A lot of times we're always pressing to get people to come into our communities, to bring the grocery store that we don't have because we live in food deserts. But the reality is, if we had the resources, we could truly all come together and build our own grocery store. We can take food from our own farms in our communities through community farming grants and sell food to ourselves versus waiting for somebody to give us something. And the reason that we just don't have those things right now, because we don't have the access to resources. When you look at our homes are undervalued in comparison to every jurisdiction in the entire Washington metropolitan region. When you look at the Black communities, our homes are undervalued by far the highest in comparison to all the white communities. When you look at our schools, because of our homes being underfunded, undervalued, our schools are underfunded. So, Patty, with you growing up in Prince George and Montgomery County, you guys, your houses are worth so much more in Montgomery County. And a lot of that's due to redlining. A lot of that's due to folks saying because there are more white people that live in your community, that your house is more valuable because more white people live in your community. And that is some of the systemic issues that have impacted us, that has stifled our economic ability to grow and truly reinvest in ourselves and our communities. So reparations, I believe, doesn't fix the problem, but it gives us the tools to really pull ourselves out of the muck that we're in right now, that it's not based off of what we did, but based off of the jacked up laws that have been in place by individuals that came before me and our congressional members as well.
How is that bill working? So you co-sponsored it.
That bill died in committee.
Damn.
That bill died in committee. We didn't even get the daggone study passed. I'm hoping we can get the study passed, because all we were asking for was a study right now, so that we can come forth with the proper information and put the bill in the following year. And the study didn't even get passed. So I think with a lot of the racial tension that's happening in the country, I think that will change a lot of the perspectives. Folks will want to try to ease the racial tensions that's happening across the country, but only time will tell. We'll see what happens when we get back into session. And a lot of that's going to come from a lot of you guys out there in the podcast land. If you call the delegates that represent you and say, what's going on with that reparations bill? What are y'all doing with that reparations bill? I want you to actually support that reparations bill. I voted for you. I want you to vote for the reparations bill. I need that support. I need to see a letter come from your office to go towards that committee chair and to the speaker's office to show that we really want this passed. I need y'all to call the speaker's office and say, Madam Speaker, we want this bill passed. We need this bill passed, because we're there at the front door knocking, but if they don't hear the loud voices that's right behind us, a lot of stuff sits in the wind. Mm-hmm. So it takes a community effort of the legislators putting the legislation in and doing that part, but we got to get the community engaged in the process too, especially if bills don't necessarily move at the direction we want them to.
Okay. All right. Hold on, sis. One more thing, because that just brought me to think. So Is gentrification the new redlining?
Is it the new redlining? It's
Because a lot of the
it
people
is.
in DC are getting pushed into your district.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the new redlining, but it's you know, people coming into our community, and the only value that our community gets is if people that don't look like us move into our community, and that's just the sad truth. That's not necessarily redlining. Redlining is when they say our community is not valuable. They're trying to add value with gentrification, but add it only by bringing in new people and
moving the people that are there out. So is it a new way? Okay, so maybe redlining wasn't the best.
The answer is both of them are wrong. Both issues are a detriment to our community, redlining and gentrification. I tell people all the time, don't sell your home. And I saw like what was happening in my community all by itself. So when I bought my house in 2007, my house, I bought it for $217,000. And 2008, as you know, the bubble bust, and we had the housing crisis. My house dropped to $60,000 in value. 60,000, and I owe $217,000 in a mortgage. And so all of that, the assessed value had dropped that low. And then when you start seeing communities pull out of the economic recession, of the housing recession, other communities like Montgomery County, not Montgomery County, but in Alexandria, there's a community that looks just like mine. They're down the street from the Pentagon. I'm down the street from Andrews Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. They a grocery store right behind their community. I got a grocery store behind my community. They got a Starbucks. I got a Starbucks. I live by Pennsylvania Avenue. That could take you to the White House and 495 and Suitland Parkway. They live next to 395. So I got more entry access points to get in and out. And the houses over there recovered and are worth $600,000, while my house was still sitting at $60,000. 60 versus 600.
That's crazy.
And they were able to recoup. They were able to recoup their value. And so, for our communities, to take that type of hit and to stay that low in value, that means they want somebody to come up in here and start buying this property for dirt cheap. I get phone calls at least twice a week from individuals wanting to buy my house. My aunts who have houses in the district over in Capitol Heights, they get calls every week from people who want to buy their homes. And that's some of the same things. Like I watched my grandfather who had a house over in Southeast, a little condo, and they gave him, this was back in like 99, 2000 time. They gave him $40,000 cash for his condo, and he was so excited. A couple of years later, they finished up everything they were doing to that condo. It's right off of Pennsylvania Avenue. They sold those condos for $475,000 and only gave him $40,000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if you don't understand the value, I tell people, know your value, know your worth. Don't sell your property. Mm-hmm. Do not sell your property. I think we've learned, we've seen it happen enough times, and thank God we're getting through the crack epidemic, because a lot of the houses that people lost in DC during this gentrification, people had lost those homes because of folks who were tried on drugs from previous years, and it literally decimated the home value, the home ownership in DC. Thankfully, we're in the next generation right here, and we're seeing that it's trying to come and happen right here in Prince George's County. So we got a lot more people that are keenly aware, paying attention to it, and we just got to make sure folks stay vigilant and not sell their homes when people are coming. Because, like I said, folks are calling me right now. I'll probably get a call tomorrow about wanting to buy my house, but they're going to try to buy it lower than what I even paid for it.
Yep.
Ooh, well, Delegate Nick Charles, thank you so much for coming on the show, dropping all your knowledge. I know I was asking a little tough questions, but
that question wasn't tough, girl.
Okay, well, I ain't want to be rude, but you need to work on getting to the people that ain't going to research.
Yeah, that's my work now. Listen, you holding me accountable, I'm gonna hold you accountable. So every single podcast, you're gonna have to start talking about this. Every single podcast.
Every single one.
That's my charge to you.
Are you subscribed to On Mothers? Have you listened to an episode?
I listened to an episode maybe some months ago, and I can't remember which one it was.
Okay, well, hold me accountable when you
It wasn't
start
the whole
listening.
podcast though.
Okay, so subscribe.
But I will subscribe.
Subscribe, and then I'm going to hold people accountable every episode. Watch what I do at the end of this show.
I'm going to look. Listen, you see, I got close up on the camera.
And I'm closer.
Look.
I got you. All right, sis, you know what time it is.
Yes, so we're going to hold you for another minute or so. This is our favorite part of the podcast. The people love it. It is unpopular opinions. This is the part of the episode where we share something that we think is an unpopular opinion, and we express that thought and then why. So since you are our guest, house rules, you go first, sir.
Ooh, unpopular opinion.
Yes.
People say Prince George's County schools are not good schools. And I think that's a false fact. I think our kids, we have the highest black male graduation rate in the entire country in Prince George's County. We have programs within the Prince George's County school system that teach kids at my alma mater, for instance, at Largo High School, teaching kids how to build cars, and they're actually racing those cars across the country. We have programs where kids are getting certifications to become licensed medical help and medical assistants. Mm-hmm. And you go inside of my alma mater, Largo High School, you go inside of Wise High School, you'll see that they have actual mini medical units built into the school where these kids are learning medical coding and all types of things. We have schools in Prince George's County that actually have a bank inside of it, and where the kids are actually running the real bank. They're putting their money into the bank, the classes, the senior class, the junior class. They're housing their funds within that bank, and the kids are running the bank and learning how to operate in the banking system. So folks that got a lot of bad stuff to say about Prince George's County schools, do your research.
You see, the Bob says he gave us the come to death row. Like, he hit us with the okay, like, don't talk about PG.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm glad that you highlighted that, because that is why I moved to Southern Maryland. I was informed that PG might not be the place I want to put my children in school. And of course, because Andrews is situated right in PG County, it's PG County School or the charter school on Andrews Air Force Base. So thank you for clarifying that, and I will stop spreading that rumor. I feel triggered.
Okay, he must have heard our conversation the other week. Why you can't move over there?
Yes. Okay. Unpopular opinion this week. I don't really have an unpopular opinion this week, and I already know Ari got the call to action, so I'm going to defer my unpopular opinion / call to action to Ari this week.
Okay, y'all. So call to action, because Nick said that he's going to hold me accountable. So I want everyone to get out there and vote, but not just vote. You need to research. So if you want to know who this person is on your ballot, you can hit them up on social media. Hit Nick up if you're in the 25th district. You can ask him any questions, slide into his DMs, because they're open and he will respond. So if you have a question, now is the time to get your answers, because November the 5th is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, and we need y'all to vote. And if y'all haven't voted already, you're going to have to vote by November the 5th. And we need to know what's up with these candidates, because we can't just be electing people in office because they look like us.
That's true.
Okay, because that's not always right. What you say, skin folk ain't skin folk, something like that. What's the
Yeah.
All
skin folk ain't skin folk. You heard that saying before.
So go ahead and make sure y'all research for real. Everybody got to rock the vote. Get out there. If you're not registered, a lot of states are closing the registration. I think Virginia closed today. If you in VA, so make sure you're registered to vote and get out there and vote this year.
And early voting in Maryland starts October 26th, I believe. Am I correct, Delegate Charles?
I believe it does. If you haven't already received your ballot, you can still request your ballot. And I have mine, and I'm not mailing mine in. I'm actually going to
Yes, you can do drop offs. You can do drop offs.
do the drop offs as well. Yes, indeed. And I'm gonna just give can I get one final plug?
What's the
Yeah,
plug?
I want to make sure.
absolutely.
I want to make sure everyone here. I'm gonna just be completely and brutally honest. I want everybody to vote for Biden Harris. Get out to vote for Biden Harris. Let's make it happen.
Okay.
Let's get that sister in office.
You heard it here, guys.
You do have an event that you plugged that I wanted to make sure we shared. I think it's on October 18th.
Yeah, this Sunday. So this Sunday, I partnered up with Prince George's County Young Democrats and also the mayor of District Heights, which is one of the municipalities that falls under my district. And we are doing a homeless outreach. So for all of you guys who want to get out and do something, come on out on Sunday to the District Heights Municipal Center. I'm sorry, not the District Heights Municipal Center, to where the old run and shoot is, Republic 1. Go to my Instagram page and I'll share the information on there as well. It's already in my stories right now. But come on out, bring any items that you can spare, bring some food, canned foods. You can bring coats, you can bring socks. I know socks are one of the major things that we're trying to make sure we collect because, taking care of your feet is important. As you know, Patty, from being in the military, we got to take care of these feet.
Yeah.
So getting some good socks for folks. Come on out. It's going to be a good event. And I see you there. And I know Patty said, you said you were showing up, right?
I will be there. That's at the Athletic Republic. It's 417 Marlboro Pike, District Heights, Maryland. Meet me there. No, beat me there. Don't meet me there. Beat me there.
And be there by 2:30.
Yes.
By 2:30. And once we package everything up, we'll be delivering the items to homeless shelters within Prince George's County.
Perfect. Well,
I'll be there in spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us. You have been a joy to have on. Thank you for taking on those tough questions and challenging us right back. We appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of this election season has in store for us. And I can't wait to see what else you do for the great state of Maryland.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, it's that time, y'all. Hate to say goodbye, but it's time. So if you love us like we know you do, sure that you are following us on all social media platforms. That's on Muvas, ONMUVAS podcast. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and if we're wherever you enjoy social media, if we're not there, let us know and we'll be there. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, because we have the podcast that launches every Wednesday following the show. Make sure you're following us on IG and make sure that you're following Ari as well. Ari, where can the people get at you?
You already know it's ARILAWAN _ that's Ari Lawan _ on all social media. So yeah, follow me.
And I am Chatty Patty DC on all social media. If you want to join the conversation, we record live on Facebook on Tuesday nights at 9:45 p.m. So join us there, and then you can leave comments. We a lot of times answer the comments during the show. And if you miss the live recording, we post every Wednesday because...
Girl, Wednesdays belong to the mothers. You guys already know. I'm not going to keep telling y'all. And plus, Nick Charles said y'all had to vote. And I was supposed to tell y'all every day. So I'm going to tell y'all for the next couple of weeks that y'all need to vote on November the 5th. Period. Because the mother said so. The show's over. Have a great night.
Bye, y'all.